Hello and welcome back to the Dune Minute Podcast, your place to dive deep, minute by minute, into the cinematic adaptation of Frank Herbert's world of Dune. I'm one of your hosts, Zach.
And I'm John.
And we are back on this wonderful Wednesday to talk about minute 102 through 103 of the Dune Minute, or the Dune movie, excuse me. Sorry, you gave me a look. I thought I got my minutes wrong.
We're talking about minute 102 through 103 of the Dune Minute. We're talking about our podcast minute by minute.
Jesus Christ. No, thank you.
A little too meta for you?
Yeah, a little too meta for me.
What about a podcast about the podcast about the podcast?
Now, see, that's the perfect amount of meta. I can either do too much or too little. I can't do anywhere in between. This minute starts with a beep and it ends with a mouse. So let's get into it.
Sure. We left off yesterday with Paul putting on the ducal signet for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still continuing with that process. Paul, kind of places his free hand over the ring, just kind of in a quiet moment of reverence. I think,
Mm-hmm.
He's still, we were talking about how yesterday he's officially come out of his waking dreams and everything. And he's, accepting the fact he's beginning the grieving process. Beginning to accept the fact that his father has passed. And yeah, like you said, we're starting with a little bit of a beep, and there's a faint beeping coming from the Frem kit.
Yep.
As we know from the note of Dr. Yue, that there was an Atreides beacon in the Frem kit. God willing,
yeah,
anyone survives, they will find you.
Yep.
This turns out someone survived, because we know Duncan, Idaho made it out of the city.
Yep.
So. And
this prompts Paul to say, someone's near. And wakes Jessica up, or Jessica wakes up at this point.
The beeping wakes her up.
Yeah. And Paul suggests she gets some water. Yesterday, you mentioned that you had something special that you called this container.
Yeah, it's the Fremen Capri Sun.
The Fremen Capri Sun. I love it.
The pouch looks like a Capri Sun pouch. Yeah, so Jessica takes a sip from the Fremen Capri Sun and then just kind of looks at it in disgust as Paul's like, oh yeah, no, it's recycled sweat and tears.
Oh, it's got to be so salty.
I'm sure, but also, on Arrakis, water's water. You can't really complain that much.
I mean, but throw in a carbon filter or something in this thing. I mean, I know.
Sure,
if we're going
but a carbon filter adds weight, and when you're
I know by the hiker's edict, every ounce counts. I get it. But those things are not that.
They're not wearing still suits, so they can't process urine in the thigh pads.
It's true.
Because they don't have thigh pads to process urine in. So
it's true.
It's disappointing, actually.
Yeah. So like I said, that's got to be some salty ass water.
But nonetheless, Jessica goes back to, continue drinking from the Fremen Capri Sun because Paul is right. She does need to drink water.
Yep. And then he suggests that they get out of here.
Yeah.
Which I thought was this is, again, just a nit that I'm going to pick.
Pick nits away.
That was a very modern phrasing of that word.
He says, come on, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. We've seen so many times where they engage in just odd phrasings of sentences and things and questions and stuff. And for him to just say, let's get out of here. I was like, oh, that is such a 2024 thing to say.
Not even 2024. That's just like
an Earth thing in modern times or modern Earth times.
Hey man, let's split.
Yeah. What if he'd said let's skedaddle or something? that would have almost made more sense.
But they would have to actually skedaddle out of there with the the Scooby Doo tiptoe noise and everything.
I think his suggestion,
or they're running in and out of doors.
Oh, absolutely.
In the hallway.
Yeah. Scooby Doo physics in here. So this is a perfect excuse for Paul to show off some more of his new toys.
Yep.
And we see the resurgence of the lipstick light.
The lipstick light and the fleshlight.
And yep. So I'm just going to read my notes.
Yep.
Verbatim here. I said Paul picks up the lipstick flashlight and the ... fleshlight. It is a cool demo with the sand compactor is what it actually is.
It is a sand compactor.
Sand compactor, where it does a cool, like, he points it at the ground and then the sand like forms an arc around the end of the compactor.
Do you know what causes this?
I have a feeling you're about to tell me.
Yeah,
I do have it written down, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna, regardless of what you were gonna say, I was gonna talk about it. So yesterday we talked about soft world building, right? Mm-hmm. And how Frank Herbert just kind of gives you enough to go off of, and then you just kind of connect the dots on your own. But this is one of the things where he does get into the minutia of it, because the book mentions that it is a static field that pushes the sand from the compactor that's generated. And I was kind of thinking about it for a second. Like, initially you would think, okay, yeah, it's some kind of like suppression field or whatever. But a suppression field, especially if it's, generated from sound, what is sound but just rhythmic waves? Mm-hmm. So that's, even at super high frequencies, you're running a risk of alerting Shai-Hulud of your presence and your existence. True. So a static field is going to be less.
And you're referring to static electricity.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry. Static electricity, while it is technically harmonic motion, is probably beyond the sense of hearing or detection that Shai-Hulud would have, mm-hmm. versus, some kind of like wave, kind of thing.
Yep.
But I don't know, because they also did mention that the vibrations of a shield would be enough to trigger Shai-Hulud. But we do see as well that the vibrations of a shield are pretty slow by comparison.
Sure.
Whenever we, had that scene where Gurney and Paul were trading blows with each other in the training facility, the shield was just kind of like a pop, 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 pop. I guess the best way to describe it is like when you take a piece of sheet aluminum and you kind of like wobble one edge of it.
The best sound on earth.
Yeah. Oh my God. Love that sound. It's just so great. But yeah, no, it's a static field. So the sand compactors are not hypersonic, and it's static manipulation of ions in silica sand, mm-hmm.
To
create tunnels in the dunes.
Yep. It can push or pull them away.
It can.
Yep.
And it does it with insane amounts of accuracy as well. I believe it's later in the book where it talks about how the sand is pulled to encapsulate a Frem tent, and as the door to the Frem tent is closing, only a few grains of sand actually pass through. Wonderful. From the compactor.
Yeah.
So super high fidelity.
Just another example of the quality of Fremen make.
Yep.
And the things that they manufacture are of the top quality.
We love it.
Yep. So we cut outside.
Yep.
After this cool demo of the sand compactor.
Well, we get the cool demo, and then Paul turns it off.
Yep.
And then
moves
the fleshlight against the door to the Frem tent, which we see for the first time, and it's just, what it reminded me of almost was, when you see the big plastic like 55-gallon drum barrels, mm-hmm. and they have the like compression fitting ring around it. It kind of looked like they just took one of those lids,
sure,
and just like made a door out of that.
It's it's lid. Described in the books as an aperture, which obviously brings like camera references to me. So just like an opening and closing that kind of rotates on itself. So
whereas here it looked more like a flap.
Yeah.
So
he holds the sand compactor up to the door, and we see it start to kind of vibrate a little bit.
Yep.
Right after this,
and then we cut to the surface of the sand dunes.
A small desert mouse running across the top of a sand dune.
Muad'Dib is here.
Very cute. And this is where I wrote very demure in my notes for this week.
Very cutesy, very demure, very little.
Very mindful.
Little peeps as it hops along the desert.
I instinctively called this a kangaroo mouse, which I think it is referred to in the Dune universe as kangaroo mouse, I think. But that is 100% an earth animal, not anything that is created for this universe.
Did you know that there are two types of kangaroo mice?
No.
Yeah, there are.
Okay.
Both native to North America. Just figured you should know.
All right. Well, that's good to know. The one that I saw when I Googled kangaroo mouse did not have ears this big. I don't know about both of them, but they did not have ears this big.
They don't.
Okay.
But we're encroaching on tomorrow's minute.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And I have a lot of notes about
okay. I don't want to
the nature of Muad'Dib's physiology.
Okay.
Well, and how it relates to us in our actual world.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we will save all that for tomorrow then.
Yeah.
Not a lot of book notes for me today. This is just like you said, like anything that I would put here would be taking away from other things.
This minute's a technical demo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. We get the Capri Sun and we get the fleshlight in action.
Yep. One thing that I did want to highlight is that this is a important delimiter in the books, though.
Okay.
So after the conversation where Paul and Jessica are in the tent, after that chapter ends in the books, this officially starts the second book within the novel. So the novel is split up into 3 books.
Mm-hmm.
This second book is titled Muad'Dib, and we've officially made that transition from Paul to Muad'Dib, and who he's going to become for the rest of Paul's story now. So it is quite literally, you've said it multiple times, but it's quite literally a rebirth of the character. We will see more imagery of that later on in this week. So yeah, like this is the second of the 3 books. Some things that were different that we will see later in the week in more detail. So I mentioned that after they escaped the Harkonnen ornithopter with the Harkonnen guards, they immediately
disabled the ornithopter.
Yes, the ship was disabled. Yep. They immediately get picked up by Duncan at that point.
Yeah.
And he takes them to the spot where their tent is, where it's like, this is the quote unquote safe space for them. He left them with instructions of, hey, I'm going to go try to find Kynes. If I'm not back within a certain amount of time, you just need to book it out of here. Yeah. It's not safe. It's safer here. They hit that time limit and they start to leave the tent. And yeah, that's what kind of prompts them to begin to leave is, hey, Duncan's not back by now. He should have been back. We just got to go. Yep. And that's all I'll say right now.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, there's not a lot of places to hide in a wide open desert.
Even if you're underground, I mean, it's still not totally safe.
Yep. So. Just because thinking machines don't exist doesn't mean that there aren't temperature sensors and there aren't, satellites with cameras looking down.
Sure. I'm sure there's some form of LiDAR around. So yeah, that's all I'll say right now. But
we know for sure that there are ways that reconnaissance and detection happen without thinking machines. So.
Sure. All right. Well, any other notes on this minute?
Nope, not really. Just had the notes about the static suppression field that is created by the sand compactor, aka the fleshlight.
Just watch where you point that thing when you turn it on.
Yeah, I don't imagine pointing it at someone.
Maybe it doesn't do anything. Hopefully it doesn't do anything.
I don't know if it's a static suppression field, like your body has its own electrical system. So it could probably really fuck you up.
Yeah, it might hurt.
Just take all your internal organs and just.
Oof. All right. Well, with that, we will end. If you'd like to reach out to us, you may. And we encourage it.
You're not allowed to, actually. Not for this episode.
We are on Instagram at the Dune Minute. You can send us an email, duneminute@gmail.com. And we are on Twitter at Dune Minute.
Correct.
All right, thank you. So yeah, we will be back tomorrow. See you then.
See you later.